Hello and welcome to another video. So I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible. My most watched and commented on video by far was a video I did several years ago about saddle pain for women or for people who have vaginas. So it's a complicated issue, and I guess there's a reason why so many people are looking at that video and commenting on that video. It's a massive issue for a lot of people with that anatomy, and as I alluded to in that video, the fact that people are afraid to use scientific and anatomical words to describe where their pain is and what the pain's like doesn't make it any easier for those of us that are looking for resolutions. I can remember at the time, before I made that video, when I was trying to resolve some of my own problems, looking online, looking through articles, looking on YouTube videos, and nobody was really saying where their pain was. It was all down below, down there, genital pain, soft tissue, but nothing really described where the discomfort was. And it was difficult for me to know whether somebody was feeling discomfort in their sit bones, in the padding on their glutes, if it was rub inside the thighs, if it was actually on the genitals, and where on the genitals it was. You know, were they having rubbing in the labia? Was it something that felt like it was more sort of around the kind of vagina area? Was it that kind of soft clitoral area where, you know, you're getting numbness and pain and things there? So it wasn't helpful to me, which is why I made that video, because I wanted to explain the sort of difficulties that I was having and what I was doing to try and resolve them. So the reason that I'm updating this video is I have gone back to the saddle that I had originally. So I reviewed 3 saddles that I'd used in that video. The first was a Bontrager that I've gone back to at the moment. The second was a Celitalia, and the third was an ISM split nose tri-saddle. A lot of people are commenting saying that they're going to try, or that they've ordered the ISM saddle after they watched my video. I'm not going to say don't do that, because for some people that might work. What I found was, because I'm a gravel rider and I'm a leisure rider, I'm reasonably fit but not massively flexible. I don't ride really stretched out. I only ride gravel. I don't ride a road bike as well. So my position is more upright. So what I suspect is, and what I've probably found, is that the split nose saddle might work for somebody who is riding in a more aggressive position, because you're kind of leaning over on, so where you're sitting on the saddle, your position is going to be more forward than upright. So you're going to be leaning more forward on the clitoral area, which the split nose will eliminate the pressure from. So that wasn't really the issue that I was having. The issue and the discomfort I was having was further around and more kind of in the sort of vaginal area, and it was kind of rubbing inside. And so I've watched some bike fit videos. So there are 2 channels that I've watched that have had multiple bike fit videos, and I would recommend that if you don't already subscribe and you haven't already watched them, to go and check out Katie Kookaburra and the videos that she's done with her friend Phil Burt, who I mean, just Google his name to see what he's done. And then Cade Media, which was previously Francis Cade. Him and his friend Bike Fit James did some Bike Fit Tuesday or Bike Fit videos. There's quite a lot of stuff on there that will maybe help you get an idea of where some of the issues might be. So anybody who's into photography with kind of proper, I'd say proper, that's a bit snobby to say that, but with like SLR photography, where you've got the lens, you know, it's not just all kind of automatic. You've got like that tripod, the triangle of, if you change one thing, everything changes. So you've got your shutter speed, your ISO, and your focal length, your aperture. So if any of those 3 things change, it will affect your exposure. And like with cycling, you've got your 3 pressure points: your feet, your hands, and your bum, your sit bones, you know, whatever you're kind of resting on. So anytime you alter the position of anything that those 3 contact points touch, it's going to likely have some impact on the other 2 areas. So it's really important that the bike fit is right. So it might not be a saddle problem. One of the things that Bike Fit James said in the Francis Cade videos is, I don't know if he said 9 times out of 10, but more often than not, the issue isn't the saddle, it is your bike fit. So if you can eliminate that early on and not waste loads of time, discomfort, money on trying different saddles, you're probably spending your money in the right place, just getting a bike fit. So do some research. Some places offer bike fits that aren't that good. Look at some customer reviews and make sure you're going somewhere reputable that you're actually going to get a decent outcome from. So that would be my first piece of advice. If for whatever reason you can't get to or can't afford a bike fit, then it's really worth spending some time trying to watch videos that will help you try and figure out what your best fit is. So in terms of saddle, there's quite a lot that can change. So you've got your actual saddle height up and down with your seat post, your saddle fore or after position when it slides forwards and backwards, and also the tilt position. So you've got 3 things there to consider that might not be right. If your saddle's right, it might be that your stem length isn't right. So it might be if you're experiencing pain in the neck, shoulders, numbness in the hands or anything like that, there's an indication that there's something wrong, which again could be saddle height, saddle position, it could be stem length that you stretched out too far. So again, it's worth having a look at being measured properly and just making sure that your setup is right. And again, if you change your stem length, that's going to change how you're sitting, in terms again of that sort of rolling your body forwards or backwards on the bike. If you're leaning more towards the handlebars, you're going to be sitting forward, and if you're sitting more upright, you're going to be sitting more centrally and back on your sit bones, ideally. So so that could handlebar position and reach can affect your comfort in the kind of saddle area. And also, if you're experiencing pain in the hips, knees, ankles, it could be to do with your feet, your cleat positions. Again, it's your 3rd contact point. You might not be wearing the right shoes. There are so many things, and sometimes the changes are really finite that you need to make, like a couple of millimeters could make a massive difference. In all honesty, I haven't had a bike fit. My bike position isn't perfect, but for most of the riding that I do, it's adequate. And at some point, if I get around to it, it's partly laziness, I'll go and get it done. The second thing to make sure before you start messing about spending loads and loads of money on a saddle is that you've just got decent padding in your shorts. A fairly decent pair of shorts will probably be cheaper than a saddle. So if you're somebody that's relatively new and you haven't spent a lot of money on clothing, you've probably got shorts that have been comfortable for the first half hour or so of your ride, but as you spend longer and longer on the saddle, you might find that after 90 minutes, 2 hours, longer than that you're getting quite uncomfortable. It might just be that the padding in your shorts is insufficient and it's just compressed. So if you get a better quality pair of shorts, quite often these days you can do PayPal or Klarna or something where you can make 3 installments of your payments and spread the cost, because stuff like that isn't cheap. But it is worth doing, even if you've just got 1 pair of shorts that you rinse through and keep wearing until you can afford to buy more. It's worth looking at that as an option, and looking at chamois cream as well. I don't always wear chamois cream for every ride. It depends how long I'm riding for, and it depends how hot it is. Usually in the UK, being too cold or wet isn't really a problem. I wouldn't ride too much if it was absolutely lashing down. So for me in the summer, when I'm sweating a lot more, and if I'm doing a longer ride where I'm sweating a lot more, I will then start to get chafing. In the anatomy that I have, you've got lots of folds, and it's easy once you start sweating and you get salt that things start rubbing. So I apply the chamois cream directly to myself rather than my shorts, rub it all around any folds, anything that might kind of rub it against itself and cause sort of friction burns or sort of friction discomfort, and just try and eliminate that. So as an update to that video, it's not that I have a kind of a final answer for anybody other than really decent shorts, get a bike fit as a last resort. Don't spend loads and loads of money on changing your saddles because it probably is a bike fit issue rather than a saddle issue. But yes, I haven't kept the ISM saddle. I didn't keep that for very long at all. I've gone back to the Bontrager. I find that fine now that I've got better shorts and I've tweaked my my bike fit a little bit. I've changed the cleat positions on my shoes. I did play about with the stem length a little bit, also kind of rolling your bars forwards or backwards a little bit, and just making micro adjustments to my saddle, till I've got to a place where I'm sort of relatively comfortable. And the other thing, the best thing that any of us can do as cyclists is really look at our core strength as well. If you've got good core strength and you're holding yourself up and you've got good posture, you're not going to get that kind of collapsing. So I mean, if you kind of sit backwards upright on your sit bones and then just kind of slump forward, you know, you can see how you would start to get pain in your lower back. If you're kind of slouching down onto your handlebars, kind of pushing down, you know, your neck drops into your shoulders come up, so you're getting all that tension across your neck and pushing down into your hands. So the stronger your body, the less you collapse when you fatigue, and that will also reduce some of the discomfort. So hopefully this update has been of some use, giving you some resources. I'll try and link things in the description for you to go and have a look at on other channels and things. But yes, I really, really appreciate all the feedback that I have had that video. I will leave it up because I think there's value in the considerations. But as I say, I didn't stick with that saddle, and I don't want anybody to be misled into thinking that saddle was like the cure-all for the issues, because that certainly wasn't the issue. But any comments, advice, anything that you want to tell me or anybody else, leave it in the description below, and I will hopefully be back on the bike soon. Take care.